What if I told you that most contract reviews miss the point entirely? Lawyers read contracts word by word, they check for typos, flag missing clauses, and move on. But here's the problem. They're looking at the trees and missing the forest. They catch what's wrong with the contract, but they don't understand what the contract is trying to do. Today, I'm going to show you a fundamentally different approach to contract review. One that combines ancient philosophical principles with cutting-edge AI classification. We call it the True Good Beautiful Framework, powered by CUAD-Schema. Traditional contract review follows a checklist. Does the contract have an indemnification clause? Check. Is there a termination provision? Check. Are the payment terms specified? Check. This approach has a fatal flaw. It treats every contract the same way. A billion-dollar M&A agreement gets the same checklist as a freelancer's service contract. The context is completely lost. Worse, traditional review is reactive. It waits for problems to appear in the language, rather than proactively identifying structural risks that haven't manifested in the text yet. Our framework borrows from classical philosophy, the three transcendentals that Plato described as the highest forms of value: truth, goodness, and beauty. Let's translate these into contract review dimensions. Truth asks, is this contract factually accurate? Do the representations match reality? Are the defined terms consistent throughout? This is the dimension of logical coherence. When a contract says the seller owns the property, truth demands we verify that claim. When a force majeure clause lists specific events, truth asks whether those events actually cover the risks this particular deal faces. Goodness asks, is this contract fair? Does it protect my client's interests while maintaining a reasonable balance? This is the dimension of substantive fairness. Goodness examines whether the indemnification is mutual or one-sided, whether the limitation of liability actually provides meaningful protection, whether the non-compete scope is reasonable, or effectively a lifetime ban. Beauty asks, is this contract well structured? Is it readable, internally consistent, and elegantly organized? This is the dimension of formal excellence. Beauty catches the dangling cross-references, the defined terms that are defined but never used, the sections that contradict each other 3 pages apart. A beautiful contract is one where every clause serves a purpose and the whole structure flows logically. Now, how do we systematically apply true good beautiful at scale? This is where CUAD-Schema comes in. CUAD stands for Contract Understanding Atticus Dataset. It was originally created by legal AI researchers to classify 41 types of contract clauses across hundreds of real commercial agreements. These 41 categories cover everything from anti-assignment provisions to warranty duration. We took CUAD and restructured it into what we call CUAD-Schema, a classification framework that maps each of the 41 clause types to our true good beautiful dimensions. Here's how it works. Each clause extracted from a contract gets tagged with a CUAD category. Then, for each category, the system applies 3 layers of analysis. Layer 1, the truth audit. The AI checks whether the clause's factual claims are internally consistent, whether defined terms are used correctly, and whether numerical values make sense. For example, if a contract references governing law as the state of California, but the arbitration clause specifies Singapore, the truth layer flags this contradiction. Layer 2, the goodness evaluation. The AI assesses the fairness balance using precedent databases and risk scoring. Is this indemnification clause more aggressive than 80% of comparable contracts in this industry? Is the IP assignment scope standard or unusually broad? The goodness layer gives each clause a fairness score from the client's perspective. Layer 3. The beauty review. The AI examines structural integrity. Are there orphaned definitions? Do section references actually point to the right sections? Is the contract's overall organization logical? The beauty layer produces a structural quality score and specific recommendations for reorganization. Let me walk you through how this works with a real scenario. Imagine you receive a software-as-a-service agreement for review. It's 47 pages, dense with technical provisions. Step 1. The CUAD classifier extracts and categorizes every clause. It identifies 23 distinct clause types present in this agreement, from the license grant to the data processing addendum. Step 2. The truth layer runs. It discovers that the uptime SLA guarantees 99.99% availability, but the maintenance window clause allows 8 hours of scheduled downtime per week. That's mathematically impossible to reconcile. Truth flags this as a critical contradiction. Step 3. The goodness layer evaluates. It finds that the limitation of liability caps damages at fees paid in the prior 12 months, but this is a new contract with no prior fees. Effectively, the vendor has zero liability exposure. Goodness marks this as a high-risk provision and suggests alternative formulations. Step 4. The beauty layer assesses structure. It notices that confidential information is defined in Section 2.14, but first used in Section 1.3. It also finds that the data processing addendum references GDPR articles that have been renumbered since the template was last updated. Beauty generates a cleanup checklist with 12 specific fixes. The final output is a 3-dimensional review report, not just a list of issues, but a structured analysis that tells the reviewing lawyer exactly where the risks are, why they matter, and how to fix them. The True Good Beautiful framework does something that traditional review cannot. It gives every contract review a consistent analytical structure while allowing infinite flexibility in the specifics. A real estate lease gets the same 3-dimensional rigor as a technology license. But the specific CUAD categories that matter, the benchmarks for fairness, and the structural expectations are all calibrated to the contract type. This is the difference between a checklist and a methodology. A checklist tells you what to look for. A methodology tells you how to think. And when this methodology is embedded in an AI agent, one that can process a 50-page contract in minutes rather than hours, you don't just get faster review. You get review that is structurally impossible for a human to replicate, because no human can simultaneously hold all 41 CUAD categories across 3 philosophical dimensions in working memory. The contract review agent operates in 4 phases. Phase 1. Intake and classification. The contract is parsed, and every clause is tagged with CUAD categories using fine-tuned language models. Phase 2. Dimensional analysis. Each classified clause passes through the truth, goodness, and beauty evaluation layers in parallel. Phase 3. Synthesis. The dimensional scores are aggregated into a risk matrix, and the system generates a prioritized list of issues with recommended actions. Phase 4. Report generation. A structured review memorandum is produced, formatted for lawyer review, with citations to specific contract sections and benchmarking data. The entire pipeline runs autonomously. The lawyer's role shifts from reading every clause to reviewing the agent's analysis and making strategic decisions. Contract review has always been treated as a mechanical task, necessary but uninspiring. The True Good Beautiful framework reimagines it as something intellectually rigorous. Because the question was never just, what does this contract say? The real question is it true? Is it fair? Is it well made? When you can answer all three, you haven't just reviewed a contract. You've understood it.